Good morning. It is late May. The garden is coming in strong, and so we're bringing you back for another garden tour. I'm Amber. This is my garden. Welcome back to Grace Walk Farm. We've gotten a lot of requests for a very detailed garden tour. Over on Instagram, each week I share a reel that kind of has a quick 90-second tour to show how our garden is progressing through the year. And I got some comments asking, can you actually label each plant? And the truth is we have about 25 raised beds plus this huge garden behind me here, plus another in-ground area where we're growing tomatoes. And honestly, it's just too much to try to squeeze all that information in a short video. So today, we're gonna geek out over plants together. We're just gonna hang out, and I'm going to take you through my garden and show you everything that we're growing this year and give you an idea of what it looks like here at the end of May in Zone 7B in Western North Carolina. So let's go take a tour of the garden. So first of all, let me show you the potatoes. This is our potato garden. This area is really where we grow pumpkins. It's our pumpkin patch, but we decided this year to put in a round of potatoes first, and then when we harvest these here in probably about a month, we will come behind these and we will plant some pumpkins for this fall. So the potatoes are looking really good. They were fertilized this week with our bunny honey. You can go and watch that video if you missed it. But you can see we have lots of blooms happening, lots of flowering, which means that if we were to dig here under the soil, we would find lots of potatoes. They're already starting. And we actually did check, and we found some little potatoes, so we know things are going good under there. So now we just wait. We wait and we water, and we're gonna fertilize about every 2 weeks from here until the end. And when the plants begin to yellow and die back, we'll know it's time to dig these potatoes up, and we'll see how big of a harvest we actually end up with this year. This is 12 rows of potatoes. 10 rows are red Pontiac and 2 rows are Kennebecks. So we should get a pretty good harvest. You can see Shelby's down there at the blueberry patch. Those are about 20 different blueberry bushes down there. They are blooming, little berries on them, but not ready to pick quite yet. So pretty soon we'll show you more about the blueberries, but they're not quite ready yet. So there's a look at the potatoes. Let's head around this way, and I'll take you to the raised bed garden. So you guys know the raised bed garden is my absolute favorite. I love the look of it, but I also love how easy it is to control the weeds. And we get questions sometimes about what we do for weed control. And you'll see we have mulch. This is wood chips that line our pathways. This is actually not weeds. I accidentally dropped a pack of zinnia seeds and they have all come up. So we're gonna call these the chaos flowers, and we're just gonna let them grow. And I'm probably going to transplant these. I'm going to dig them up and move them to a bed. But I'm going to leave a few around here because chaos flowers make me happy. So this is the new section of the raised bed garden that Josh built for me this year. And I'm thrilled with how it's turned out. I can't wait to see these trellises all covered up. But pretty soon they will start to fill in, and we'll start harvesting some food out of here. We're already getting a few things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go one bed at a time, and I'm gonna show you what we've got growing, what we've got going on, and good, bad, and ugly, failures and successes. We're gonna show it all to you today. So let's take a look. Here in this bed we have garlic, and you'll notice it's very weedy, But when we reach this point in the season where the bulbs are beginning to form, you can actually see one there. We are probably a month away from harvesting our garlic. It's coming soon. You see it starting to yellow. And once these are at least 50% yellowed, we'll start digging around and see if they're ready to harvest. But I can already tell we're getting close. They're bulbing up well. So the garlic, we plant that in October. Sorry, spring allergies. We plant it in October and we let it grow all winter long, undisturbed. We don't water it. We don't do anything to it. We mulch it. And that's it. And then in the spring we fertilize beginning in May with rabbit manure, and we did that last week, and you can watch our bunny honey tea video to see how we fertilize. But we fertilized last week, and now we're really just waiting on it to finish yellowing, and we'll pull this out, and I'll show you exactly how we preserve our garlic. We like to dry it and braid it. So look for that video here in about a month. I'll show you exactly how to braid garlic. It's a fun little craft, and it turns out really cool, and you can hang it in your house and have fresh garlic for 6 to 9 months after you harvest. In this bed, we've got quite a few things going on. We have some elephant garlic here in the front that is sort of starting to die back. And then we have some calendula growing here. Look at these flowers. Are they not so pretty? And this is actually a good medicinal thing to grow. We can make salves and all kinds of things for skincare out of these flowers after they come in more. We've got a big sunflower here making me happy. We've got some spinach there in the back that is bolting and needs to come out. We have one little pumpkin plant there that we stuck because we didn't have anywhere else to put it yet. And then on this trellis, we are growing tromboncino squash, and you can see it's just beginning to climb. So this is what it looks like. And look, we got a little bug here. So when you come out to your garden, be looking for bugs and go ahead and remove them when you see them. But this will fill in quickly. That one tromboncino plant will cover this entire arch. They grow vigorously, and they'll grow until the first frost in the fall. So garlic and tromboncino will fill the arch, and then we have more garlic, calendula, and spinach. If we keep going on the second arch, we have green beans that are coming in nicely on each side. And then in this bed we have, this is some, let me think, this is a squash. I'm trying to remember which variety this one is. I believe this is just a yellow crookneck squash. And then we've got some Cherokee bell peppers back here, some rosemary, and some dill for pest control and companion planting purposes. There's a little pineapple sage plant tucked in here, sunflowers, and then if you kind of get down in here, we also have some basil started, which is way too shaded from these sunflowers and from the squash, so I will most likely carefully dig that up and move that to a different location now that this bed is starting to fill in. But the green beans are looking good. They're just before starting to really climb the trellis. So that's this bed, and then the one behind it is very, very full, and that is zucchini. And I got some questions because I mentioned that we were going to prune our squash and zucchini, and I got a lot of requests to show how we do that, so we definitely will. We usually wait till we harvest the first squash or the first zucchini to start that process, so it won't be long because we're seeing lots of blooms. As a matter of fact, let's go over there and take a closer look. So if we peek down in here, we already have some blooms, and you can see this is a female flower because we have a zucchini on there. So that may be our first zucchini we harvest. I see another one down here. Yep, lots of zucchini coming in. So probably by the end of this week, actually, we might be able to start pruning some of this. The idea when you prune anything like squash or zucchini is just to give airflow to prevent fungal diseases. And you want to cut off any of the leaves at the bottom of the stem that are below the first fruit. So that can kind of give you a guideline, but we'll show you in more detail a little later this summer, but it won't be long. I see lots of little zucchini starting in here. I just spotted another one. Let's see if I can get in here and show you. See it? Lots of zucchinis. And then you also may see these little starts. This is Malabar spinach. It's kind of shielded out right now, but we'll trim that squash back so it can get to the trellis. And on the other side, we also have Malabar spinach. And Malabar spinach is a climbing spinach, which is kind of neat, and it's very heat tolerant. So you can actually plant it on a trellis in the summertime and it will climb. So I love Malabar spinach for trellising. So let's see, we've gone through 3 beds over here. Let's go to this side. I showed you the garlic. So this one was green beans. We got a little marigold tucked in there. These are more squash. These, I believe, are patty pan squash. And then on the end, we have some acorn squash, cream of the crop acorn squash. And it actually will run. You can see it's already kind of vining. And so I will just continue to like train it where I want it to go. And I put my vining squash on the corners here so they can run in the empty area. I'll either plant them here where they've got room to run or on a trellis. But this is acorn squash. And then if we back up to this bed on the corner, I have spaghetti squash and a watermelon. And this very buggy plant is a cauliflower that the bugs are just destroying. But you know what? I kind of don't mind, because if you look, they're not bothering my peppers. They're eating this instead. So you can kind of use a plant like this as a trap crop to trap the bugs and deter them from eating things like your peppers that took forever to get going from seed. But speaking of these peppers, these are cayenne peppers, and you can sort of start to see the baby peppers coming in. So that's a good sign. These are looking great. We have some cayennes, and then I believe the second row is habaneros. So this is going to be our spicy pepper area. We like to grow a lot of spicy peppers and make our own hot sauce. It's amazing what all you can make just with what you harvest from a backyard garden. You really can make almost anything. So I'm excited to give these a go. One thing is, we normally top our peppers, but we didn't this year. Just because it took us a little while to get them going. And when you top them, it does set them back a few weeks. And we just decided this year we didn't want to set them back. We're going to let it go and just see what we wind up with. We have a lot of pepper plants in this year. This is just one section. I'll show you more. But because we have so many, I decided not to top. But there's some of the bell peppers. And then we'll go to the next bed. Again, we have more bell peppers. These are mostly, I think these are Ozark bell peppers. And then we have, I think, some Cherokee peppers in here as well. Several different kinds, but they're all bell peppers. We've got watermelon on the end, another trap crop of a cauliflower. And look at that, guys. Look how the bugs are just absolutely demolishing my little trap crop plant. But the peppers look beautiful, not a bit of damage. And then I know you're wondering what's going on here on the trellis. Those are cherry tomatoes. Chadwick cherry is my favorite kind of cherry tomato. And we are going to grow these and kind of train them from both sides to climb so that we'll have a cherry tomato arch. That's the goal. And they're looking really good. We're starting to weave them in a little bit. Over here on this side, we have more squash. We grow a lot of squash. It's one of the most popular things we grow with our customers locally. So we grow a lot of it. And then let me show you what's happening here. So this is Old Tokyo Kamatsuna, and it is very buggy. A week ago, there was 0 bug damage, but we are starting to see, you see this? Got little flies, and then if you start looking under the leaves, we'll probably find some cabbage worms, because that is what I suspect is doing all this damage. But here's the thing, Kamatsuna it is a heat tolerant plant. Like, it will continue to grow, but the flavor I've noticed is changing. As it's getting warm outside, the flavor of this is getting a little more bitter, and a little more spicy, almost radish-like, which I'm not a huge fan of. I liked it mild, so I will grow this one in cool weather. But what we do with this is we feed it to our rabbits. This is their absolute favorite. So we're gonna let it continue to grow, and I'll just keep harvesting it to feed to the bunnies, and we'll just let it do its thing. But that's what's in this bed: squash, the cherry tomatoes on the end, Kalmatsina, and then sunflowers. We're doing sunflowers on the ends of all of these beds, just so that we create sort of like a sunflower walkway where you walk between the greenhouse and there's a wall of sunflowers. That's what I'm going for. We'll see how it works. So in this bed, obviously sunflowers, and then we have lots of greens, and they're just beautiful. So this is oak leaf lettuce, and we have cut and cut and cut off this lettuce. I mean, I've harvested lettuce for us, for customers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants, so 6 seeds, and I bet you I've harvested at least 4 gallons of lettuce off each plant. I mean, if you want a lettuce variety that is very quick growing, seems to tolerate heat without losing its flavor, I really think you will like oak leaf lettuce. It is a new favorite for me, and I will be growing it every year. I absolutely love it. We also have lots of kale. This is the Blue Ridge kale right here, and we have actually sold a good bit of this kale over the last week or so. It's become a little more popular. Usually people don't love the greens when we're selling veggies. They go more for like squash and tomatoes and cucumbers. But our kale's picking up in popularity, and it really is really delicious. So I'm glad that people are starting to like it. And then this is dinosaur kale, or lacinato kale. It's a little different texture. It's a little more tender, and it's not bitter at all. It's a sweet kale. This is probably one of my kids' favorite. So we grow both kinds. We do the Blue Ridge and the dinosaur kale. And then let me bring you around to this side. This is some purple Vienna kohlrabi. And if we look down in here, it's starting to bulb up. So I actually have never grown kohlrabi before. Have never eaten kohlrabi before. This is a new one for me, and I'm excited to try it. I think we're getting close. And on the end of this bed, we have some long beans. So those are the green beans that are going to be like 12 to 18 inches long. They're a really fun variety to grow. And we've planted those on both sides of the trellis. So you can see them a little better on this side because this bed's a little more empty. But also in this bed, we have peanuts, which is something new this year. I didn't get great germination, but we've got a few. We have loofah growing on the trellis, and then I've also planted some cucumber seeds that have not come up yet. A little sunflower there. And then we came in because there was so much blank space where the peanuts didn't germinate well, and I've planted some bush beans. They just haven't come up yet. So I would expect that we'll see those peek through maybe next week. But that's kind of this end of the garden. Now let me show you the last few beds over here. So this is Swiss chard, and it's held up really well to the bugs and the weather. We've got, just a few little spots on it, but overall it looks really good, really healthy. I've found that this is a sweet green. We really like it just mixed in salads. I think Swiss chard kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, but I think it's delicious. It seems like if you pick it when it's a little small, like this is about the perfect size. It's a little tender, and we like it. We'll definitely keep growing Swiss chard. In this bed, we also have a few more peppers. These are lemon jalapenos, so they're gonna be yellow jalapenos. We have some dill, some sage, some lettuce, and I believe those are zinnias coming up. And of course, sunflowers on the end. And then we have this bed, which is kind of a mess. There's a lot filling in this bed. So first, let's talk about here in the middle. We have a purple kale plant, which is absolutely beautiful, and we have harvested and harvested, and it continues to grow. And then we've got 2 rosemary bushes, which we really need to trim around to give them room to get some more light, but they're doing a great job with pest control. And then we have Brussels sprouts and broccoli. So there's 2 different things growing in here. Let's see if we can see any of the Brussels sprouts starting to make an appearance in here. So your Brussels sprouts grow on the stalk. Yep, this is where they're starting. You see these little nodes? Those are the beginnings of Brussels sprouts. Like right here, these turn into Brussels sprouts. So I think we might actually get some sprouts this year. It's hard in the spring here in North Carolina because it gets hot so fast that sometimes we kind of miss our window where it will get so hot things will bolt. But these are looking really good. I'm feeling hopeful. And then let's check the broccoli. We should start seeing broccoli forming in these plants anytime now. So let's see if we see anything. Not yet. I can kind of see where it's starting to form down in there though. So probably next week when we do a garden tour, I'll have broccoli to show you. Once it starts, it comes in really, really quickly. But that's what's in this bed, Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Now over on this side, this is our companion planting experiment that I've told you guys about with onions interplanted with strawberries. Seems to be going really well. We've harvested some strawberries. I see I've got a few in here that need to be picked. And then back in this bed, we have onions around the edges, more broccoli in the middle. And then the bed back here has some asparagus and some loose leaf lettuce that we're growing for the bunnies. So that way we'll have fresh lettuce we can let them snack on all summer long. They love lettuce. And let me see if we can zoom you in here a minute. Lucy is home. So Lucy had 9 babies and we let her stay at Josh's parents' farm because they have a rabbit barn that's a little better enclosure for a mama having lots of babies. So she came home this week, and as you can probably tell, she brought home 2 of her babies with her. So our rabbit area is growing. We have 4 now. We have 3 females and a male, and we don't intend to have any more. Our male is neutered, so he cannot reproduce. But they just produce fertilizer for our garden. We use their droppings, and they're a lot of fun for the kids. They make great pets, and they're real happy. So there's the bunnies. Here we have peas and carrots, a perfect pairing in the garden and on the plate. So on the trellis you see we have sugar snap peas going, and then this bed of wildness is carrots. And it's a little trampled down at the moment because we have a cat, we think it's a cat, that likes to come lay in these carrots. So we're working on how to keep that cat out. Hopefully our carrots underneath are still looking okay. Yesterday I looked at them and they looked okay. So, and you'll notice all through the garden we have marigolds tucked everywhere. Marigolds are so good for repelling pests that we just stick them everywhere. We have more strawberries that are running everywhere here, but you can see they're blooming even in the aisles. We're getting berries. We need to come out here and harvest today. This bed is kind of a hodgepodge of things. We've got some cabbage, we've got a couple little tomato plants, some basil, and we have a couple of squash plants, and then some more cabbage on the end. This bed has kind of become like a catch-all bed for any plants we have left. And I think that's a good thing, because I know a lot of you watching don't have 25 garden beds. You have 1 or 2. And I wanted to have a few beds that were interplanted with several things so you can kind of see spacing wise how much you can fit in one bed. So we'll see how this does, how this fills in. The cabbage will probably be ready to harvest within the next week or two. It's starting to head up pretty well. So we're getting close on that. It's just got to get a little bit bigger. And then we'll move that out and we'll actually add something else here in the corners. But it's looking good. This bed is full of medicinal plants and herbs. We have this giant bee balm plant, which I've actually divided 3 times. I've been able to share this plant with friends. This was all from one little plant that we put in last year. And it has just spread and spread and spread. Bee balm, also known as bergamot, is a good medicinal. You can use it for tea. You can use it for lots of things, really. It smells wonderful. And then below it here, we have some oregano. And we also have some lemon balm, which you can see I cut a bunch of it this week. We made lemon balm tincture this week. But I still have a whole bunch more I need to process. So we'll probably dry some more lemon balm for teas this week. But we made a tincture from this whole thing, and we ended up with 2 quart jars of lemon balm tincture, which will be nice to have on hand. Lemon balm is great for lots of things, but especially for anxiety or stress. And if you're a mother of teenagers, you need some lemon balm. So here we have some more oregano. We have a couple little lavender plants in here. And then this is pineapple sage, which, oh my goodness, y'all, if you've never smelled pineapple sage, it smells just like a pineapple. It is the most sweet tropical scent, and you can make tea from this. I absolutely love it. Lots of medicinal benefits of pineapple sage as well. But I just love how it smells. I would grow it just for the smell it brings to my garden. And it grows these really pretty little red flowers. So I'm excited for it to fully come in. But that's what's in our little herb bed. If we walk back this way, you can see this bed is absolutely full of sugar snap peas. And we've actually started to harvest some peas this week. So you can see, let's see, here's one. So they're looking good. We've also got some beets growing here at the bottom. A few greens. We've been slowly pulling out our collards and cooking those. We don't have many left. But the peas are looking good. And we're excited to be able to eat on peas for the spring. Sometimes we don't get them in the spring. It gets too hot and the peas don't do well when it gets really hot. But we've had a really mild spring so far. So we're enjoying lots of spring crops like peas and cabbage. We have more cabbage over here. And it's heading up, and it looks so pretty. I just think cabbage might be one of the most beautiful things that I have ever grown. Every time I grow a successful head of cabbage, I kind of want a trophy because I feel like it's a big deal. It's just so pretty. And we have a lot of cabbage crammed in this 4x8 bed. Let's see. I think we put in 15 plants in a 4x8 bed, and they're doing just fine. And then here on the edges, we actually have cucumbers, and they're already starting to climb the trellis. So we went ahead and planted the cucumbers knowing the cabbage will come out here in a couple of weeks, and then the cucumbers can take over and grow up the arch. So that's one way you can kind of stagger your planting where you never fully have an empty bed. You can kind of plant with succession planting in mind. So here are some more peppers. And these guys have some bug damage. Let's take a look. So if you get in here close, we definitely have something chewing on these peppers. So we're gonna spray these today with some neem oil and see if that will help. I'm not seeing a lot on the leaves, so I think we're having some little whitefly damage maybe. But we're definitely going to need to treat these. I've only got one little marigold plant, and it's just not enough for this big. Well, there's 2, but it's not enough for this many pepper plants. So we could probably stand to stick a few more marigolds in and around, and then we'll probably go ahead and spray this with some organic pest control measures, just in case. We don't want to lose our pepper harvest. Here is the other side of the peas. I'm actually kind of using twine in a different way this year. So we strung up one to 3 pieces of twine just to kind of hold these peas up so we could grow some things beside of them. And that's worked out really well. We've got lettuce, beets, more lettuce, more beets. So that's kind of what's going on over here. But the peas are making me so happy. They look awesome. And then this bed is more potatoes. I know. Do we not have enough potatoes? But we actually, we bought 50 pounds of seed potatoes this year. And then Josh's mom and dad gave us a bunch more. We ended up with 150 pounds of seed potatoes. So we decided to kind of trade off. And his mom and dad are growing the corn and we're growing the potatoes, and then we'll trade. So lots of potatoes. This whole bed is the Kennebec. And they're flowering and they're looking great. So I think we will definitely get a good harvest of potatoes out of this bed. And it will be really interesting to compare how the potatoes look here in the raised bed versus the ones that are in that front garden area that I showed you at the beginning of this video. You'll have to tell me in the comments, which do you think will do better, the raised bed or the in-ground garden? Which is going to be better for growing the potatoes? I just found a moth. Let's remove that guy. But there you go. There's our potatoes. So we have one more area to show you. We're almost done. I can't believe it, but we have tomatoes. They might be tiny baby tomatoes, but they're still tomatoes. And these are Mrs. Maxwell's Big Italian tomatoes, the very first ones on the vine. Let me show you the tomato garden. So this is where we're growing all of the tomatoes. We have 3 rows. This row is all beefsteak. This is a mix of slicer varieties, the great big good sandwich tomatoes. The 3rd row is all Amish paste for canning. That's my favorite tomato for making sauce and salsa. Usually we do 2 rows of canning tomatoes, but this year we actually didn't need to can so many tomatoes because I did so many last year that we still have a pretty good supply. So instead we're growing some fun new varieties that we wanted to try. But the tomatoes are looking great. We have started to tie them to the trellis. They're reaching the bottom of the trellis. And they're covered in blooms, and we're pruning once a week to prevent disease, to keep all the growth away from the bottom. You can check our earlier video about pruning if you want to see step by step our method for pruning tomato plants. But they're looking good so far. We're really excited. And then if you come around here on the other side, we have the green bean fence, which is starting to fill in slowly. This whole fence will be covered in green beans by the end of the summer, and we will pick and can beans off this fence all summer long. So this is kind of a no-dig garden area. We follow sort of the Charles Dowding method here. My favorite way of gardening, really. We do not plow, we do not till in this area. We just continue to add good organic materials, so fresh compost, fresh wood chips. And over time, the soil has become so rich and beautiful, and we're growing great tomatoes because of it. So give no-dig gardening a try. There's a shameless plug. We really love it. We've got one final bed here to show you, and this one is sort of a pollinator haven bed. It's got lots of pretty flowers. There's some Thai basil tucked in here. We have a prism pepper plant that came from Burpee, and I want you to look at this. It already has pepper on it. I can't believe it. Like, peppers usually come on after the tomatoes, but this little plant is so hardy and it's doing so well. So shout out to Burpee for sending us these plants to try, and I gotta say, the prism pepper is killing it. I'm really impressed. We also have some medicinal things in here. We have some feverfew, we have some St. John's wort and some horehound, some mullein, and some thyme. This is a dazzling blue kale that my friend Lauren gave me. She gave me 2 of them actually, and they've really come in and are beautiful. More flowers. I mean, it's just kind of a mix of herbs and flowers. We've got a sun coleus, but this bed brings me so much joy just because it draws in bees to pollinate my tomatoes. But also it's just really beautiful, and it's the first thing you see when you pull into my driveway. So there is our final raised bed. And I think that pretty much completes our garden tour. So there you have it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for taking this little impromptu garden tour and seeing what all we're growing this year. I would love to know in the comments, what are you growing? Tell me about your garden. Where are you from? What kind of veggies and herbs are you growing? Are you growing any fruit? I would love to hear about your garden. We always enjoy reading your messages, so feel free to message us anytime, leave a comment, and send this video to a friend. If you've got a garden friend that you like to nerd out about plants with, send this to them as well. We are thankful to have you here as part of our community, and we'll be back soon with another garden video for you.